He came here to pay off his student loans, see the world, and make a difference. She came here to experience the culture that spawned her favorite drama series. They came here because the job market back home was oversaturated and the only qualifications they needed were a degree and to come from an English-speaking country. Many of them had different goals, dreams, ideas of how long they would be here and what they wanted out of the experience. But the single most important thread between them all? They're all still here. Hi everybody, you're watching Sekkider and this is episode 3. I guess I live here now. Now, whether you've come and found a job that you never want to leave, started a family, and have no compelling evidence that moving back home would be an upgrade, or you simply haven't found a reason to pick up your life and take it elsewhere, you, like many others, are here, and you're in it for the long haul. Here are 2 things that you need to do to make sure that shit doesn't needlessly go sideways, and if it does, you're ready for it. Number 1, build your credit. Now, Korea is a highly advanced nation that's a global competitor in the manufacturing, technological, and heavy industrial industries, to name a few. Like its neighbors and the vast majority of the world, Korea functions as a capitalist democracy in which it's essential to build a credit history that will enable you to take out bigger loans in the future as it becomes necessary. Now, I've seen posts online saying that Korea doesn't have a credit score as we know it back home. And while it's true that their credit system is not structured exactly as it is on websites like TransUnion or Equifax, that doesn't mean that there's no credit system to speak of. That would just be straight foolish. Information on the Korean Credit Bureau is available in English on their website at koreacb.com/en, but I'll do a quick read through of their website blurb. Let me put on my interview voice. To prevent recurrence of a financial crisis and further strengthen the domestic financial industry, major financial companies in Korea formed consensus on sharing credit data with each other. 18 major financial companies in Korea built KCB together by participating as shareholders, and since its foundation, KCB has been operated through transparent and fair governance to make sure that it will benefit the financial industry as a whole. So to summarize, they know if you pay your official debts, and they talk about you behind your back whether you like it or not. So how do you build your credit? I mean, the same way you would in any other country. Get a credit card, spend on it, and pay your balance on time. As with funds and savings accounts, you can set an automatic transfer date that'll draw directly from your account, or you can just download the app of whatever credit card you get and pay your balance early. If you've been here for a while with no end in sight and still haven't gotten a credit card, get one ASAP. I made the mistake of not getting one for years, and now I'm way behind where I could be. The same thing goes for you who just got here though. Get one anyways. You may only plan to be here for just 1 or 2 years, but so did I and a lot of other people. So just do it. I mean, you got nothing to lose. Either way, if you ever want to get a big loan for something like a house or a car, or maybe even a business venture like that terrible idea for an English cafe that you've been considering in spite of the fact that the coffee shop game here is already oversaturated, you'll need a credit card history if you want anyone to take you seriously. If you've already got a card and want to check your credit score, the KCB links directly to allcredit.co.kr, where you can just sign in using your phone info and verification. Like with most institutions here, your ARC number contains all the necessary information that's relevant to your credit history. Debit spending doesn't count, so don't think that just because you've never overdrawn your checkings that your credit history is nice. Also, whether you have crippling debt or an 850 score back home, it doesn't really matter at all. Your credit history abroad, for better or worse, has no bearing on your credit record in Korea. Second thing I want to talk about is your visa. And this is specifically for all the long-term mandem hitting refresh on the E2 every year. This visa, although powerful, doesn't really do anything for you with regards to loans or credit. In fact, it does the opposite, as it sets an explicit expiry date for any potential loans or lines of credit that you may open. Thus, a good credit score isn't always enough of a basis for banks to provide you with a loan. Even somebody with an incredibly high credit score may be rejected for a loan, given that it's difficult, if not impossible, for banks to collect debts if you happen to leave the country. By changing your visa from an E2 to something more permanent like an F-Series visa, you display at the very least an intention of remaining or establishing a residence in the country. While this may not be enough to establish credibility for anything beyond real estate or similar collateral-backed loans, it's better than nothing. There is very little incentive for banks to provide foreigners with unsecured loans given our general flight risk, and banks have historically instructed their employees to flat out reject all foreign applications for unsecured loans. That being said, If you want to go out and see what's available for you, then please come back and comment below with a record of your experience so others know what to expect. Still, this is one of those situations where everybody's experiences are going to be different, and they may be affected directly by an individual's current employment status, employment history, salary, current holdings, the mood of the bank teller on that day. I mean, the list goes on. The lengths to which you may be helped aren't really under your control. So, if you plan on taking out a loan in the future, whether secured or unsecured, it's in your best interest to do as much as possible to raise the floor on your chances of securing whatever it is you're applying for. As someone who's accidentally lived here for almost a decade, one of the main things that I regret is not getting a credit card and starting to build my credit score. I tried once early on, but the main bank that I bank with didn't and still won't authorize a line of credit for me for all of the same reasons that I listed above, so I initially gave up. That brings up the final thing that I want to talk about: actually getting a card. I did a quick Google on credit cards in Korea for foreigners, and it brought me to a site called 90 Day Korean, which I'll link in the description below. That website provides a list of top cards for foreigners to apply for, but I want to revise it just to save you some time. The top card that they recommend is the Samsung card, and for good reason. It's easily one of the most powerful cards in the country. It has a plethora of benefits attached. What they fail to mention, though, is that it's virtually impossible for foreigners to get one. Even those who work for companies like LG and Samsung itself may not be able to qualify for it, and Hagwon employees aren't even eligible to apply. The second suggestion is Lotte Card, and while Lotte Card has no explicit requirements and everybody is technically eligible, they also have a history of outright rejecting applications pretty quick. Still, if you want to try it out, go ahead, because you technically are eligible to apply as a foreigner. Again, the chances of you qualifying may not be too high. The third one that they suggest is Shinhan Card, which requires you to make at least 2.5 mil per month after tax. So it won't apply for a lot of E2s, but they're also super uptight about who they provide credit cards to. So again, it's very difficult. In my personal experience, and based on anecdotal evidence provided to me by friends who've gone through the credit card application process in Korea, KB is the bank most likely to provide foreigners with a credit card. Obtaining a card is much easier if the company is able to contact and check in with your employer to verify your income streams. Otherwise, you can always get a secured card by going back to a bank and paying an initial deposit fee. The deposits are pretty expensive, but if you're intent on getting a card and you're unemployed or self-employed, then your options are going to be pretty limited. Like I said before, loans for foreigners are a pain in the ass to get. It's my sincerest hope that things will change in the future and that this video will eventually be outdated and useless. But in the meantime, if you want to get your credit right, these are going to be your best options. So that about wraps up what I wanted to talk about when it comes to loans and credit in Korea, and we've come to the end of episode 3. I sincerely want to thank you for making it this far. It takes a lot of time and effort to put these videos together, so I really do hope that you found them helpful. If so, remember to please like and subscribe below, as well as hit up the comment section with your experiences, suggestions for new topics, and whatever racist arguments for a fascist ethno-state you may be harboring as a result of too much 4chan. Thank you for watching Sekkider, and remember the words of Wu-Tang Financial. Diversify your bonds.